All right, so today I have the honor of having Mr. Jesper Nissen. He's an expert in cloud stacking and he does much more besides cloud stacking. Jesper, thanks for joining us today. Why don't you give our listeners a quick intro about who you are and what you do?
All right, thanks for having me. Well, my name is Jesper, and I come from the city of Aalborg in Denmark. Well, I actually have a background in theoretical physics. I studied at the Niels Bohr Institute in Copenhagen, and my master's degree was in quantum mechanics, carbon nanotubes. But I'm not using that anymore because 21 years ago I started in the IT industry as a software analyst. 2008, I started my first IT company. And actually when I started in SEO, because I back then in 2008, I developed my first CMS, content management system, kind of like WordPress. And back in 2008, it was much easier to rank in Google. So actually I built in automated SEO in my first CMS back then in 2008. And I didn't, I just didn't think more deep into SEO. But then I think it was in 2018, I heard about a guy called Kyle Roof that I think that you also had on your podcast. And I read about his scientific testing. And I thought, with my background in physics, oh my God, this is mind-blowingly interesting. And when I heard about Carl Roof's scientific methods of testing, I just started deep diving, watched all his videos, and I was just blown away. I was just so inspired by this way of thinking. And since 2018, or when it was that I saw him first time, I've just been focusing only on SEO. And of course, now I have Yex, my cloud stacking platform, and Schema Writer, my schema writing platform. So yeah, that's my background so far.
Did you mention that you were already trying to automate things in 2008?
Yeah, I had the idea that if I could automate SEO back then in 2008, I could make it much easier to rank. So I built in a system where you have your text. We didn't have AI back then, so it was just simply manual coding. We analyzed the text, and then you had the target keywords for that page. And then I built a system that put in the target keyword, all the places in the meta description, title, all the places, and then you got a score. Actually, kind of like server SEO, obviously much more simple. Kind of like server SEO, so you have all of these green lights if it was done correctly. And that was in 2008, and we saw extremely good results. So
And did you jump into a lot of testings after you came across Kyle's scientific testings?
Yeah, I did. So while Kyle Roof, he's more into the on-page part. I'm also interested in on-page SEO, especially now I'm moving much more into on-page. But back when I discovered Kyle Roof, I was extremely interested in link building and still am. So I kind of took his methods and then tried to apply them to off-page strategies. If I build this link this way, what happens? If I build this link another way, what happens if I put 100 words into a link article? What happens if I put 300 words? What happens then? Just, what happens? And I discovered a lot of methods. For example, cloud stacking I discovered, but also Twitter moments. So you know that Elon Musk, he purchased Twitter. He renamed it to X, and then he canceled the Twitter moments, which was a very, very big shame because Twitter moments were a way of publishing long-form articles on Twitter. And I discovered, I'm not the only one that discovered it, of course. Other people also discovered it. But I discovered it also that you could rank pretty much everything with only Twitter moments, with only Twitter links. So those were the days. It was crazy, totally crazy.
So do you mean that getting links from Twitter, or was it like using Twitter as parasite SEO?
Both, actually. So I by accident I was browsing the internet one day and searching for how we do SEO, search for all types of keywords to see what pops up, and then I saw a strange URL, what looks like a Twitter URL, but strange. I hadn't seen that before, and then I reverse engineered it. I found out that it was a thing called a Twitter moment. And a Twitter Moments was a long form article. So you could, instead of creating a post, you could create a Twitter moment. So a post, you have is it 150 characters? That's the limit length, something like that. But in a Twitter moment, you could actually collect links. You could put in tweets. You could put in external links. You could put in text, stuff like that inside of your Twitter moment. So it's kind of like a curated collection of links. And because of the way that they programmed these Twitter moments, it inherited more of the authority domain, root domain of Twitter, it seems. And for that reason, they could rank on themselves like parasites, and they could also push power to your links, to your own links. So the thing is, with the parasite SEO that you see today, many of these parasite properties, they can rank extremely high, also up to position 1. But also many of these parasite SEOs, then you think, well, if it can rank that high, I can actually also get an outgoing link from that parasite SEO property. You can, but in my experience, you don't see much movement from these parasite SEO links. I don't know why. It's just the way that the algorithm works now. Back in the day with Twitter Moments, it was different. So it could both rank, and you could also push your own properties up.
That's very interesting.
That's the difference. Yeah.
Very interesting. In simple terms, can you please explain what cloud stacking is, and in context of SEO, how crucial cloud stacking is?
So the word cloud comes from cloud storage. So you have these storage providers like Microsoft Azure, you have Google Cloud, you have Wasabi, Backblaze, and literally hundreds of cloud storage providers. So the word cloud comes from that it's cloud storage. And what it is that it's static HTML pages or websites that you upload to these cloud storage. And the reason that became popular, also it wasn't me that invented it. Other people like Terry Power and some other guys came before me and invented it. I just saw that, okay, this is great, this is crazy great. So the reason that this became popular, the cloud stacking, is because when you upload this static HTML page to Google Cloud, you're actually uploading it to a subdomain on the Google Cloud domain. So when you inspect the URL, the address of the static HTML website that you're uploading, you can actually see that it has a domain authority of 93 or 94, something like that. When using Mangools, when you're using Moz, domain authority checker, many of these links have a page authority of 44, 43, 45, 48, something like that. So instead of starting by domain authority 1, page authority 1 or 00, it's starting out with a domain authority of 93 and a page authority of 44, something like that. So what this means is that although a single page, as the algorithm works now, a single page doesn't have much power, but if you do point backlinks to these cloud links, it kind of like unleashes the power of these cloud sites. And back in the day when I discovered cloud stacking and cloud links 5 years ago, something like that, they were extremely powerful. By building back when I started, when you build just one page, and I literally mean just a home page, only that page, you could see incredible jumping rankings. Back in the days, five years ago. That's not how it works now. You need to do a lot more now, but that's how it works. And that's the origin of the cloud stacking, is that you build the first page, and then the stacking part comes in. And the stacking part is the tiered link building. So you have the first page, the home page, and then beneath this home page, you have these individual HTML pages on other domains. So let's say that you have the Google Cloud site is pointing to your domain. And then beneath the Google Cloud site, you have the Microsoft Azure, you have the Wasabi, you have the Backblaze, and one of the other clouds, NeoCities, and there are a lot. And they all point to this guy up here. So instead of having the power of one link, one subdomain, now you have the accumulated power of 5 subdomains if you have 1 plus 4, right? That's the idea of stacking. So you can kind of like accumulate the link power of various subdomains into one subdomain that's becoming this super duper powerful link that can point into your own website. So that's the idea of cloud stacking.
Is it in a way alternative for PBN?
I would say it's similar to PBNs. So what a PBN is, private block network, is that you're building out your own websites, and you're also actually building out your own websites here. So it is in some ways it is similar. The difference is that when you're building out a PBN, your own website, you purchase a domain. You start with domain authority 1, page authority 1, or domain rating 1 if you're using Ahrefs. And then it's up to you and your link building skills, unless you're buying expired domains, of course, but it's up to you and your link building skills to actually boost the domain power of these sites up to whatever it is that you want them to have. But if you're building the static HTML sites on cloud sites, you get the authority. You need to do something to unlock the authority. That's another issue, but you do actually get the authority of these cloud sites. They come with that. So that's the main difference. Yeah. And of course, another difference is if you're building a PBN, typically you would build it in WordPress, right? And these HTML sites, it's HTML, it's static HTML. So you need some sort of, either you need to know how to code HTML, or you need a platform like Yax that I have. Yax is not the only platform, of course, that I use Yax because I created that. So you need some sort of coding skill or have access to Yax. Yeah.
So you're saying cloud stacking is still working right now. Are there any specific niches where it works exceptionally well? And at the same time, are there niches where it doesn't work that great?
I would say that when it comes to local SEO, that's where it works extremely well. It works extremely well in local SEO, and in national SEO, not so well anymore. So when I'm talking about national SEO, I'm talking about in the organic search. So Google is really trying extremely hard to filter out these types of links. That's just because that's how Google wanted it to be. but it's becoming increasingly more and more difficult. So you have to become increasingly more and more creative when you're doing link building. So when it comes to the organic search, it's not as effective as it used to be anymore. So that's why you need to really think of tiered link building. So you need to think of cloud sites as buffer sites, so to speak. If you haven't heard about a buffer site before, a buffer site is a website that's pointing into your money sites that you want to boost. And this buffer site is structured in a way that it can take a lot of links. And the cloud sites are extremely effective in that department because they can take a lot of links without being demoted or without being indexed. So what I typically do is I build guest posts to my cloud sites and then scrapebox links to these guest posts, or I build scrapebox links directly to my cloud sites that then points to my websites that I want to boost. And so that's for the organic part. For the local SEO part, it works a little bit different because although we are linking out from the cloud sites, we're actually using embeds and driving directions, stuff like that. So what we're doing for local SEO is we're taking the Google Maps profile of your company, your local business. Then we're embedding that on the cloud sites, as well as a lot of other properties structured in a very specific manner on the cloud sites. Driving directions, all of that stuff. And people are talking a lot about it on social media right now, in YouTube and in closed forums. But that's what we're doing right now for local SEO.
Right. So you're saying you definitely see a lot of movements in map rankings with cloud stacking. Is there absolutely no movement with national organic results in the SERPs with cloud stacking, or do you see some movements?
I definitely do see some movements. I think that the biggest mistake that beginners make when building links like this is to expect now I can build one link and then I can see big movements. Yeah. That's just not how it works. And that's actually not how it works with any type of link. It's not that links are not effective anymore. It's just you just need more. So previously you could see extremely big movements with one link. Well, now you might need 100 links or 1,000 links. 10,000 links, something like that. It's just that's just the way that it has evolved, and that's also why it's extremely difficult to build these HTML sites in hand. You do need some sort of automation because Google is trying to filter out these things, which makes sense if you're Google. So that's just how it is. Yeah.
Which all platforms do you use primarily to build your tier one of your cloud sites?
Well, I use Yax primarily. That's my cloud stacking platform. I like working with Yax because it has, I think we have now 22 or 23 integrations. So you have a lot of domain variety. So besides Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, and Amazon, and the top tier cloud storage providers, we have 19 or 20 other cloud storage providers. So what that means is that you get a lot of domain variety. So no matter what, you can boost your domain authority and your rankings with the cloud sites. Also because a lot of these cloud storage providers, they have regions. So for example, they have data centers. So for example, in Europe, in the EU, they have Amazon, 5, 6, 7 data centers. And each data center has their own subdomain. So, and a new subdomain is on a new IP address, so it counts as a new backlink. So even if you only use Amazon, for example, you have access to, I think it's 22 or 23 different backlinks. So if you're using all of the backlinks that come with Yext, you can get more than 100 referring domains, something like that.
Have you seen any negative effect of doing cloud stacking?
Yeah, I definitely have seen that. If you go too hard and if you don't use domain variety, you can see movements down. Last year, I actually did, in some occasions, I actually did see a dip. So we built, links as a test, and then we saw a dip. So what this means is that if you overdo it, so let's say that you have Amazon Cloud, that's what you're using. And if you're building 100 links only from Amazon Cloud, nothing else, then you might see a dip.
Then it's a footprint,
Yeah, that's what we see. You can't also only rely on one domain to get domain power from. Because you might think, well, this domain is super powerful, I can just get all of my links from that domain. That's not how it works anymore.
Absolutely. I think this is the golden rule of link building that we follow for and that we tell all our clients: diversification. If you're just going after one style, one domain, basically if you create any kind of footprint, that's dangerous. So diversification is our golden rule that we follow. All right. So for those who haven't heard of cloud stacking, how can they get started with cloud stacking? Also, considering people who don't have much technical background, what's the best way for them to get started with cloud stacking?
If you're a beginner, it is a little bit abstract, right? I mean, even the idea of building links, how do you get started with actually building links? Even talking about tiered link building is extremely abstract. I would probably try to visit my own YouTube channel to watch some of the videos where I talk about cloud stacking, because you do need some sort of introduction. And once you have watched some of my videos and some of the other videos that are out there, then decide if this is for you, because I think that if you're a beginner, this is probably not for you. I mean, I would love to sell more licenses for Yext. I'm just saying that if you are a beginner, it's probably a little bit too advanced. So, I mean, if you're a beginner, it's probably better to try to focus on building out a natural link building profile with social media profiles. I mean, you can visit your Google Business profile, and then actually Google recommends to you 7 profiles that you can build. And for most of these social media profiles, you can actually build links back to your own website.
Right.
So that's what I recommend for beginners. But if you're, past the beginner stage, watch my videos and then decide for yourself, is this for me? Is this, can I figure this out? I think you can, but yeah.
Right. So, and then for those who are at medium to advanced level, but they haven't started cloud stacking, like people who are doing good on-page stuff, good, all different kinds of link building already, guest post, link insertion, digital PR, all that, but they haven't tried cloud stacking. So how do they get started? What's the best way for them to get started with cloud stacking?
Definitely sign up to Yext.
Okay.
There's no other answer. No, I mean, I actually hired a guy to do an entire SEO course. I don't know if you know that, but inside of Yext, I have the Yext Academy.
Okay.
Because I kept getting the same questions again and again and again. How do I do this? How do I collect keywords? How do I create text? How do I do this? How do I do that? How do I interlink them? So I hired a guy. So he actually recorded a 35 or 40 tutorial videos for Yext that's included in Yext. So when you do sign up, you get access to this academy where you actually have an entire advanced SEO course laid out for you. That's included in the price for Yext. So I mean, there's no other way around it, that you do need to watch a lot of videos. Watch the Yext Academy. I mean, even for advanced SEOs that didn't try this before, just be prepared to use a couple of hours to get into it. Yeah.
When you're building this whole stack and doing a lot of internal linking to power your first main tier 1 cloud and then push a link from there to your main money site, what's your strategy with the anchor text?
So the strategy with the anchor text is that I try to keep it simple. So the anchor text that I'm pointing to directly to the money sites, I try to keep it branded, but variations of the brand. And that's just super duper important. You can mix in, a couple of specific keyword anchor texts, but I try to stay away from that actually in the first tier, because it's just Google is just too sensitive with that. I don't want to play around. So Google is saying in their patents, and they're saying that in their public statements, that brand in 2025 is everything. And when you think about that, you know that you need to use the brand name in the anchor text, because brand is everything. That's in tier 1. So in tier 2, you can use long tail keyword variations. So we do use spin tags. You know what spin tags is? Yeah, you put in some text, and then it can randomly spit out, variations of your long tail keywords. And then in tier 3, you can use specific anchor text that you want to rank for, or variations of that. So you need to think strategically: brand first, extremely long tail keywords or sentences, and then the specific anchor texts. Because Google is looking at these anchor texts, and they are using them, and they are effective. But very, very quickly, if you're doing a lot of link building, you can risk overdoing it. That's just how I do it.
You mentioned about doing a lot of tests with link building, right? What are some myths or some interesting findings that you found with your experiments that you think not many people are using or utilizing right now when it comes to link building?
Okay, so no follow links. A lot of people think that no follow links does not work, but I tested that a lot, and they do work. So I have a procedure where I'm using ChatGPT, preferably to find do follow and no follow links for free. So you can go into ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to give you a list. Give me a list of 50 alternatives to Linktree or About Me, stuff like that. And then it spits out these links. So I've built out a very, very, very large list of these types of links. And a lot of them are do follow, but a lot of them also no follow. And I've tried that to build these things. And no follow links absolutely work. And these types of links are actually something that you could categorize as profile links. So it's not social media profiles, but it is old school profile link building. And there is the myth that this does not work, and that is simply not correct. It works extremely well, actually.
Do you have an order in which you prefer building different kinds of backlinks? Like something like stage 1 will be for profile links, then stage 2 will be for cloud stacking, stage 3 for guest posts or some other kind of link building. Do you have a preferred or tested way of building your backlink profile?
Yeah, for sure. So for a new domain, you need to build out the brand. I wouldn't say authority, but you need to build out the brand name first. So you need to build out a lot of social media profiles. So I would start out by, if it's a local business, build out the Google business profile first, claim that. Build out the 7 social media profiles that Google recommends. Build out more social media profiles, and YouTube and Facebook and Twitter are the absolutely most vital profiles to start out by to build these guys. I would then build out at least 50 profile links, like Linktree, About Me, Bento, AppLink. I can just keep on going. All of these links, at least 50 of these guys. Then I would build out a press release, because what a press release does is that it talks about your brand, talks about what you do, and you get a lot of referring domains, 50, 100, 250 domains, referring domains. And once you've done that, you can actually start to build out cloud links and guest posts. Because once you have established the basic authority, the basic brand awareness in the Google engine about who you are and what your website is and what's your address and what are you talking about on your website, then you can start to build out these other links like cloud links and guest posts and link insertions and all of that stuff. So that's my process, and I tried that last year. I purchased 12 domains, and I used an AI program to build out 12 entire websites. So on 10 of the websites, I didn't build any links at all, because people are talking about, I can rank anything with no links. So I wanted to try that out. And so on 10 of the websites, I didn't build any links at all. On the 11th website, I built a little bit of links. On the 12th website, I followed the procedure that we talked about now. The 10 websites, absolutely no rankings, and no rankings at all. So I saw a little bit of rankings, and then it just died. The 11th with a little bit links, I saw a little bit ranking, but the 12th that I followed this procedure, a lot of rankings, and also traffic and clicks. And they were built on the same program. It's not a program that I built, a subscription that I purchased. So what that tells me is that this program used the same prompts to build 12 identical websites. They were not in the same niche, but they were identical. And the website that did the best was the website with the links. That got position one, rankings for various keywords. So links work. You need to know what you're doing, and you need to build a lot of them.
You mentioned about the 7 profiles that Google recommends, the 7 social profiles. What are those 7, if you don't mind sharing?
It's Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, Pinterest, YouTube, and one more. I don't remember the 7th, but these are the basic.
7, okay.
Facebook, Twitter, these are the basic, So it's social media profiles that we all know. Most of us don't think that it's not important to have a TikTok channel. It's not important to have a Pinterest channel. It might not be important to you, but it's something that Google actually recommends. And if Google recommends it, it is important. For example, for Pinterest, I know that there's a whole subsection of SEO called Pinterest SEO. So people are making Pinterest courses and they are trying to rank these pins in Google. So it is super effective.
And you mentioned that after your social fortress, then your citations, you also prefer doing press release. But many times, the generic press release are more like syndications. The same content is spread across the internet. I've also seen that many times they don't even get indexed properly. Do you see any kind of negative effect, any spam effect, or any negative effect with that kind of tactic?
I think that so if you're building, if you're purchasing these SEO press releases, as I call them, and I know that you know what I'm talking about. These SEO press releases for $50 or $99, and you get 2,000 referring domains. I think that it depends on the niche, and it depends on what mood Google is in, because it's a hit and miss. I have not seen any negative effects of them, but I have seen that some of them, they simply don't work. You simply don't see any movement at all. So you buy a press release, $99, and they do the work, and you don't see any movements. And many of these things, they don't index. But then in other cases, and I have a very good vendor that I use, Randy Rody from...
Randy, the news guy, recently was on his... Yes, we'll share his link.
Yeah, that's what I'm using, and I see very good movements when I use his press releases. So I don't know what he's doing, but I think that he's actually also doing tiered link building to his links. Because what I can see when I have a new brand, a new affiliate website, and I build a press release from Randy to that website, I see many of his press releases there saying ranking on page one actually for the brand name. Then they do tend, because it is press releases, they do tend to fall off, and they do tend to jump down or fall out of the index. But that's because it's press releases. So yeah,
makes sense. For when you're building that cloud stack, I forgot to ask this earlier, but when you're building the cloud stack, do you only point to the homepage of your money site, or can you build multiple cloud stacks and spread it across inner pages as well? Spread the link from that cloud stack to your inner pages.
Yeah, so that's actually a very good question. Last year, actually, I made a couple of tests with that. So what I did was that I had a Danish affiliate website. It's in my YouTube channel, so you can actually go and watch that video. But I had a Danish affiliate website, or it's a rank and rent website, and then I built 10 cloud sites on 10 different domains, and I mirrored the structure, the menu structure for the website, the target website. I mirrored that structure in the cloud site. So if I had 15 pages on the target side, I had 15 pages on the cloud side, and then I had links to all the sub pages, and that worked extremely well. I know it is local and it is low competition, but to me that doesn't matter, because these sites are making me money. It's rank and rent websites here in Denmark. So yeah, it is a very good idea to have this diversity, that you're not only pointing 2,000 links to the homepage and then 0 links to all of the sub pages. I know that many people do that. I personally prefer to spread it all over also the sub pages. So when you're posting, for example, on my own sites, when I'm posting a blog article, it's not like I'm posting a blog article and then I'm not pointing links to this article. I am pointing links, and this is a subpage, because if I don't point links to it, why would Google actually value it? If you don't value it yourself because you don't mention it other places, why would Google value it? So that's how I think. Yeah.
And to keep things natural, do you also try to space out building the cloud stack for your inner pages? The first set of cloud links to your homepage first and then move on to inner pages? And do you give some time in between building those inner page links?
Yeah, most definitely. So what I start out with is after I'm done building the press release, I write an article, and of course I'm using ChatGPT for that, and then I'm editing it. So let's say if I have 22 cloud providers, so then I'm building 22 variants of this article. It's a brand article, so it's talking about the brand. They're all pointing to the homepage. So press release first, also obviously pointing to the homepage because it talks about the brand. Second stage, 22 cloud providers, branded article, like a press release pointing to the homepage, preferably all interlinked. So you have these 22 links that are pointing to the homepage, and they all interlinked to help with indexing and crawling. And once you're done with that, and then I would wait a month or 2 months, something like that. And then I would start building links to the subpages. So there is a timing issue. I know that, actually, I don't know if that is a myth, because some SEOs, they say, well, it's a myth to wait, but I think it's not a myth. I think there is such a thing called link velocity. So, and we also saw that in the leak last year that Google is actually measuring if it tends to be an unnatural spike in links pointing to a site.
Absolutely.
And they actually measure when did it start, how long did it go, when did it stop, how many links were built. And if they record these links as being unnatural link spike, they just simply remove the value for these links. And that's actually where the value of the press release is not only the referring domains and the power, but it's actually the number of the links. So think about it. So you're building 250 referring domains one day. Google don't disregard them because they know it's a press release, so they're used to that in the algorithm. So what happens if you build 20 links, the coming days? They don't mind that because you already built 250 links. So you can kind of like see a press release as the big shadow that you can actually build links sneakily behind. You see what I mean? So that's I actually saw an SEO talk about that. I don't remember what his name is, but it's not my idea. It's just when I saw him talking about that, I thought, okay, that's a good idea. Because how can you get around the machine learning that's actually perfect at detecting unnatural link spikes? One of the only ways is the press releases. So, yeah.
In your test, did you come across any significant findings when it comes to the length of the guest post, or even when you're building your cloud site? Does it matter how many words were there on that page? Does the value of the link decrease or increase based on that?
I have seen anecdotally, it's not something that I've tested. I've seen anecdotally that if they are too short, they won't index. So let's say you're building a cloud site with an article that's 150 words, 200 or 200 words, something like that. You will have an extremely hard time indexing that. And that's just how the algorithm works now. You do need some sort of length to your articles. I don't know if it's a spam filter or if it's because the way that the algorithm works, that they need to know what it is that you're talking about, and they need to have a certain amount of material to work on. And I know from Carolyn Holzman, she's talking about it in her indexing podcasts, that what she's seeing is that you need at least in the vicinity of 300 words to index these pages, somewhere around that figure. And that's also what I'm anecdotally seeing in my cloud links, because I am trying. So one of the things that's important to keep in mind is that you mentioned it yourself earlier, is the footprints. And it's another patent is that Google is looking at the article length of your pages. So let's say that you're publishing a page with a website with 100 pages. So then they're measuring the article length on each page. And then they're taking the average. And if an individual page is not varying from this average, if they're all 1,300 words, these articles, then they're saying, okay, this seems to be spam. We are simply not valuing this website. That's also what I'm seeing. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to have this extreme randomness, extreme fluctuation in article lengths. And that's how I detected that sometimes with these extremely short articles, they simply don't index. So you need to, when you're building out mass page size, you need to have a minimum amount of words that you, And for maximum, I don't know. I didn't test that, how much the maximum is.
Yeah. Have you done any testing with niche edits where you get links from already indexed
pages,
link insertions or niche edits?
I wouldn't claim I've done a lot of testing on that. I would just say that each time I did purchase a niche edit, I didn't see any movements. So, but I'm not the super duper expert in niche edits. So no, I can't really claim to know a lot about that. I don't have a lot of experience in it anyway.
Thank you so much for your time, Jesper. What's the best way for our listeners to follow you, to learn more about your cloud stacking, and also you're building a schema app? How do people stay updated with your experiments, your tests, your tools, and also learn more about cloud stacking?
I would say YouTube, best way. Jesper Nissen SEO. That's what I call myself in YouTube. So yeah, find me, Jesper Nissen SEO, and subscribe.
Thank you so much, Jesper. Also, yeah, we look forward to meeting you at the Link Building Mastery Summit in London. That will be exciting. I'm super excited to have you there. And like the attendees are definitely going to love your session and learn a lot of, secrets that are not openly available.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time, Jesper. Appreciate it.